I don't know why I can't. Okay, cool. Okay. Speakers of the Curonian language constitute a minority of the population in several large countries. An international body has recommended that the regions where Curonian speakers live be granted autonomy as an independent nation in which Curonian speakers would form a majority. But Curonian speakers live in several widely scattered areas that cannot be united within a single continuous boundary, while at the same time allowing Curonian speakers to be the majority population. Hence, the recommendation cannot be satisfied. Victoria, what's the conclusion?
It's the conclusion, but Curonian speakers live in several widely scattered areas that cannot be united within a single continuous boundary.
Why do you think that's a conclusion?
I think that's the conclusion because it's basically stating the author's opinion and why this can't happen, like why, based on all of the I don't know. That's what I thought. I'm kind of like second guessing myself what now. I don't know if that's actually the conclusion. Or maybe it's actually the last sentence. I don't know, because I know there's like subsidiary conclusions and main conclusions. But yeah, I'm a little stuck on this one actually.
Hey, oh, sorry.
No, you're
Go. I was gonna say, Yumira, do you know the difference between the two? Can you walk me through it?
Between the last sentence and which one?
the one right before it.
Oh, so long.
Don't make me read that again.
Oh, widely scattered that cannot be united. So I would say the conclusion is the last sentence. The prior sentence is more like background information.
So one of the things that I was talking about in one of my homework help is if you're stuck between two sentences, you can try the because test. So you have this part is sentence A and this part is sentence B. So you can try A because B. Does B give proof to that first sentence? And then try it the other way too. B because A. Does A give proof to the second sentence? And you see that A gives proof to B. So if it's giving proof to something else, it's not the conclusion. I don't know if that helps you. I hope it does.
That makes sense. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
So if you're stuck
with an example that we did today, Angelica, because we had a great example where we did that and it showed us which was which. I'll find it and send it out.
Yeah, but you can try that out when you're stuck because it happens a lot for me where I'm like, okay, these two sound great. I don't know what's actually the conclusion. So I'll do the because test, like middle of the LSAT, I'll do it. And it like always leads me to the right conclusion because I can see what's actually lending proof to something else and what's relying on something else. So if it's relying on something else for proof, that's the conclusion. But now we have the conclusion that the recommendation, what recommendation?
That they grant autonomy to the Curonian speakers.
Mm-hmm. We know that that recommendation can't be satisfied. Why? Malika, can you break down or summarize the stimulus for us?
So basically, these people all speak the same language and we want to see if they can all constitute of one country. But the issue is that they can't form a single body of land that isn't broken up by other speakers. So they're saying that because of that, we can't have them be like a single country.
This is thank you. That was good. Thank you. Nicole, I was just about to say this is like one of those like necessary assumption questions where like the answer choice is like stupidly obvious.
Mm-hmm. So this Angelica likes to miss.
I think one of those things where like the answer is so simple that like you kind of kick yourself over it because like it's not as complicated, I think.
Well, this is an example of once you understand how necessary assumption questions work, sometimes they can become so easy because so many people struggle with their concept that they don't have to ask difficult necessary assumption questions to test to see if you understand or not.
Cool. I just keep saying cool. So we have this idea that we're trying to make an autonomous, independent nation, but we can't. Why? Because these people, they're scattered, so we can't make one country out of it. That's what we're given. Does anyone want to try and predict what we need to make this true? And it's fine if you don't, because I think this is one of those, when you read the answer choices, it makes sense. I don't know if you agree with that, Nicole, but this is one of those questions where once I read the answer choice, it made sense to me.
I'm sorry, I must be tired. Can you explain the stimulus again? Because I'm like not getting it.
Hang on, I'll read it. No worries. I feel so we're saying speakers of the Curonian language constitute a minority of the populations in several large countries. So we have this language, and these people are a minority in several large countries. So whether it's China or Japan, the United States, wherever, they are the minority. An international body has recommended that regions where Curonian speakers live be granted autonomy as an independent nation in which Curonian speakers would form a majority. So we're like, all right, all of you living in this little, they're living in Michigan. All our Curonian speakers living in Michigan. And we're like, you go form your own nation in Michigan, all you speakers. But Curonian speakers live in several widely scattered areas that cannot be united within a single continuous boundary, while at the same time allowing Curonian speakers to be the majority population. So we run into this problem where it's like, wait, all the Curonian speakers actually don't live in Michigan. They live all over. We have them in all the United States. So where would we actually draw these lines? So the recommendation that they be granted autonomy as an independent nation in which they form the majority cannot actually be satisfied, because where they currently live, the lines just cannot be drawn to make it happen. Is that good? Cool.
You want me to keep going?
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. I was just explaining.
No, I was just confused.
I'm going to be on this end for a while. Like, so we got our, okay. So what's needed for that to be true? This fact that, for the fact that the recommendation cannot be satisfied.
Oh, they failed to have a single boundary?
That they cannot, but Curonian speakers live in several widely scattered areas that cannot be united. So what I was thinking is that we're just not going to move people and put them in one spot. That was my prediction, like that the recommendation cannot be satisfied. Well, what's needed is that people are going to like stay where they're at, and an option isn't to move them all to Michigan. Does that make sense? That was my prediction going into this, which wasn't a great one, but I was just thinking like what else would go against it. So go ahead and read through these answer choices and put your answer in the chat for us. If you could direct it towards me so I can see them, or you can direct them towards a car, or yeah, just direct them towards me. All right, so let's start with E and work our way up. So we have our conclusion here that the recommendation cannot be satisfied. And the recommendation is that the regions where Curonian speakers live be granted autonomy as an independent nation in which Curonian speakers would form a majority. So that's our support. So E says in more than 50% of nations, several different languages are spoken. We don't care if there are several different languages, or what if it's just English, which is overpowering the Curonian language? Does it matter if there's a bunch of different languages, or just that there's one? Like, it literally doesn't matter. D, the new Curonian nation will not include as citizens anyone who does not speak. D, I thought was like a little bit tempting, but we're trying to make Curonian the majority. That doesn't mean that there can't be a English speaker in Michigan, right? So it's not D. All right, let's skip over C and B. A nation once existed in which Curonian speakers do we care about what once existed? What if this had never happened before? Does that mean that the recommendation cannot be satisfied? Nope. Okay, I keep seeing satisfied. I think there's a Hamilton song that talks about being satisfied, and that I keep wanting to like break out into it. Satisfied, like, okay. Never gonna be satisfied. Okay. Anyways, between B and C, which one is needed in order for our recommendation to not be satisfied? B says Curonian speakers tend to perceive themselves as constituting a single community. Do we care what the Curonian speakers perceive themselves as?
No, but not only that, we're not trying to make them a community. We want to make them an autonomous nation. So
yeah, or like you're Michigan, you are on your own. Yes, excellent. So it's not B. And then C says it's almost too easy if you missed it. The recommendation would not be satisfied by the creation of a nation formed of disconnected regions. It's straight from it, where it tells us like we can't, because what happens if the recommendation could be satisfied by the creation formed by disconnected regions? Then our reasoning of why it can't be satisfied like completely goes out the window. Dun, dun. Okay, what time is it? All right, so we have like 15 more minutes. We're gonna go ahead and break into groups and just do like two or three more questions each before we call it quits for tonight. If you want, or you're more than welcome to leave, because I know like we're like a little bit past. But if you want to do a couple more questions, you're more than welcome to. I'm gonna move you to room 1, Karshna. All right.